So looking ahead, say 3 to 5 years, how do you see the relationship between AI and structured enterprise data evolving? And maybe focus on like, what does safe high performance AI infrastructure have to look like?
A really good question. So I think people are going to wind up deploying solutions similar to what Fractal has done. And the reason why I say that is, in one form or another, we've been tackling this type of problem for 40 years. And what's fallen out of it are some just, they're not magical approaches. They're just pragmatic lessons in terms of we've tried every possible variation you can imagine over the course of 40 years. Here's the one that worked, right? And what has worked for real world systems that are running at serious production scale on structured data is you most likely want to have your system of record, and you want to have a copy of it. The copy of it's where you do your experimentation. That's where you do the things that could possibly go wrong, right? Even when AI gets to the point where it's let's say it's very well understood. Let's say that agents are always super well behaved 99.9% of the time. Okay. In a production system, 99.9% doesn't even come close to cutting it. That is an unacceptable error rate, right? But let's pretend that we were there. And then, by the way, current technology is nowhere close to 99.9.
Right.
But even if it were, it's still not good enough for structured data for systems of record. So I think into the foreseeable future, I think that future looks like you've got your true system of record. You've got the system where you're doing AI-related things. You have you've got a heartbeat in terms of how you're moving data from one system to the other, doing your stuff, having sanity checks on it, and moving it back. Because I think for the foreseeable future, anything else is just too darn dangerous. I mean, you can't, think about something like a banking system, right? Being close is not okay. Every account, every time, every transaction, it has to reconcile to the penny, not 99.9 or 99.99 or 99 point, however many nines you want to add. No, it's the goal is perfection. Anything less is not okay. And it's, if you look at the systems that the world's economy actually operates on, it's those type of systems. And so I think that, at least for the foreseeable future, I think that's what those systems are going to look like, because they have to, because anything else is insanely dangerous.
Yeah. So that brings me to asking a question. If you're advising a large company, Fortune 500, 100, and some of the executives, what are your top 2 or 3 strategic recommendations for how they can deploy AI against critical structured data?
My first bit of advice would be figure out a way to do it inexpensively, right? The answer is not, I've got this big complex system that my enterprise is dependent upon. Let me do some insanely expensive soup to nuts AI transformation of it and just hope it goes okay. Right? Please don't do that. Please don't break your company. Right? The thing that makes a whole lot more sense, and again, there's nothing, anything that Fractal has done. I mean, other technology companies are going to be able to develop things that are similar. So I'm not, advocating the specifics of what we've done. It's more the approach. Figure out a way to do inexpensive experiments, right? Figure out a way to take a particular business process, do it in a safe copy, understand the things that work well and the things that are disastrous in that copy, and develop the business processes and methodologies for moving data to your experimental area and back in with kind of a heartbeat that makes sense in terms of how your business operates. And, but take approaches like that, right? Do it a bite at a time, make it measurable, make it understandable. If you ever get to a point where you don't think you can wrap your head around it and understand what's going on, stop, right? That's your body telling you shouldn't do this. Because I think, I think there's some, AI is amazing, right? There are some unbelievable things that you can do with it. Be careful about getting overly enamored with it, right? It's like any other tool. It's like a screwdriver, it's like a hammer, it's like a saw. They're great. use them appropriately, figure out when you want to use the screwdriver, figure out when you want to use the hammer, and don't get swept up in the hype. That there's really cool things you can do. Just do it in kind of a methodical fashion.
That's great. So as we're closing, I'd love it if you have, your top piece of advice that you would leave the viewers with, especially about deploying AI safely against their data or their enterprise data.
So here's something that I think a lot of executive teams ought to spend a little bit of time thinking about. Right now, particularly when you're talking about AI, the knee-jerk reaction is, I need to go to the cloud. I need to run huge models, big expensive things in the cloud. It's the only way of doing it. But if you look at an enterprise today, they have any good-sized enterprise has a spectacular amount of compute and storage on site, scattered across their enterprise. And by the way, you're utilizing a fraction of a percent of it, right? Because all of the hardware that you've purchased over the years, most of the time it's sitting there in an IO wait state. And if you look at, cost effectively deploying AI, you really want to move that AI functionality from, some remote cloud to where the action is, right? To your point of interaction with the customer, at a point of sale device, at a warehouse, wherever you are interacting with your customers and your partners. And ideally, you want to do the AI there, right? And so, one reaction that people have is, well, gosh, I'll need, next generation hardware to do that. Today's hardware isn't possibly fast enough. And my response would be, actually, that hardware is about 1,000 times more powerful than you think it is. You need to be thoughtful about how you use it. And right now, today, with the hardware you already own, that's already at the point of interaction with your customer and partners, you can do useful AI things on it, right? It's not going to be a super generalized AI chatbot, but can it do the thing that your business needs at that point, at that time, with the data that's there locally? Oh, yeah. And by the way, that will scale. It's fault tolerant as all get out because every point is independent. And it makes economic sense. It actually makes business sense, right? So you don't have to mortgage the financial soul of your company to do AI. I mean, if you look, kind of looking a little more broadly, I mean, if you look at the path we're currently going down with regards to, AI data centers, is there a role for AI data centers? Well, of course there is. If you're developing a frontier model and, the type of training you need to do for that, yeah, you need a data center. Once that model's built and you want to do something with it, that is a wildly different story. So in that kind of a world, hey, embedded Intel processors, they work great. They are unbelievably fast. They're already installed. You already own them. Just make use of them.
I love that. That's fantastic. Well, Michael, I so appreciate this conversation because it's so grounded and so practical in your experience of deploying, large systems at scale for customers that have to have things right and how to do that safely. So this has been a fantastic conversation. And I would love for our viewers to know where they can reach out to Fractal or to yourself.
Sure.
What's the best way to reach you or to connect with Fractal?
They can go to our website. It's fractal-computing.com. You can also go to fractalweb.app. It hits the same website. We've got a contact page there. Just reach out to us, and we're happy to talk to you. I mean, our whole mission in life is we're just trying to help people, do really big things at scale without breaking the bank. It doesn't have to be as hard and expensive as people are making it out to be.
Yes, I agree with that. Well, thank you so much. I know this is going to be a great conversation for our viewers that are really grappling with so many of the challenges that you have come up with some great solutions for. So thank you again.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed talking to you. It was fun.
Yes, thank you. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.